my goal really isn't to take Xerox of a space. I don't want to show it exactly as it looks. I want to capture it, and I want to capture the feeling and mood and the style of the room. So if you've seen my photography before and you've seen the before and after comparisons, this tutorial will teach you everything you need to know to take your picture looking like one of those ugly before pictures straight out of the camera to one of those amazing, polished and refined final images. I can remember when I was getting started, I would see these amazingly produced, beautiful images of hotels or resorts or cruise ships or what have you. And I was just fascinated. How do they do this? How do they make these images lit so perfectly? It's definitely not HDR. It's definitely not a single exposure. There's definitely something going on. The top guys in this game weren't really sharing their secrets. I kind of had to get in and dissect this and break down images myself. So over the last few years, I've really come up with a technique that creates repeatable results like over and over and over, and I can pretty much, go into a space and pre-visualize it and know exactly what I need to do to get exactly the image I want. And there's so much involved, but I'm going to break it down step by step and show you everything that goes into one of these shoots.
Years ago, I actually shot real estate, and I can remember trying to learn how the best in the world were doing it, and there is not that much information out there about this. I mean, you can get a book on how to put a light up and how to use an umbrella, but in terms of the stuff that Mike Kelley's doing, there is just nothing out there. And so when he approached us and said that he wanted to do this tutorial where he revealed all of his secrets, I was so thrilled because I feel like Mike is really a leader in this industry, and there's nothing on the market like this at all.
But because we're shooting for an architect, we want the home and the furniture to complement the architecture. And by moving the furniture around, it will be much easier to create an image that speaks to the architect. You can see what it looked like before and what we've rearranged it to look like now. As you can see, it's a big improvement and everything makes sense in an architectural context. I wanted to make this tutorial appeal to people who have never shot interiors before, they've never shot inside a house, and I want to show them how to use minimal gear to create great photos. And I also wanted to make this to appeal to people who have maybe even made a career out of real estate or interiors or architectural photography, but they really want to take their images to the next level. So far, we've been shooting with an on-camera flash and one optically triggered off-camera flash. We're going to up the complexity just a little bit, and for the first time, we're still going to be using two lights, but we're going to light a more complicated space, and I'm going to show you how to do that with a little bit of lighting and a little bit of Photoshop.
Now, obviously, every job that you take on is not going to require hours worth of Photoshop. You could probably do a lot of images in camera for maybe real estate, but then when you book those commercial jobs where that image is going to be an advertising shot in magazines across the country, you're probably going to want to spend more time in Photoshop to make an image that really stands out. And as producers of this DVD, we wanted Mike to share all of that. So he's going to teach you how to do everything in camera and produce really clean, simple images, but he's also going to teach you that Mike Kelley signature look so you can produce images that are on par with his.
All right, I'm looking at these trees outside, and I think I'm going to go try to light them. We'll see what happens. I don't know if the pocket wizards will reach through the glass and all that, but it's worth a shot. So we've broken this tutorial down into three distinct parts. We're going to start out with real estate shoots, which is where most people get a foothold and get started in this industry. We're going to show you the basic tools you'll need and the basic skills you'll have to get into shooting real estate. And from there, we'll build a foundation, which will lead our way into the next part of the tutorial, which is architecture and interiors. And that's where some of the Photoshop stuff gets a little bit involved, but I'm going to show you every step of the way what I do to create an awesome final image. It looks pretty good. Remember, this is one light on camera, one light in the foyer over here. But the obvious problem is that we've got to fix the distortion. As you can see, the vertical lines are converging, and there's quite a bit of barrel distortion from the 1740. So in order to fix that, it's pretty quick and easy. I'll show you just how to do it right now. Now, I'm most known for my dusk light painted images, and throughout this DVD, we're going to teach you how to do a few of those. But in this chapter in particular, we're going to walk you through an entire exterior dusk light painted shot. And in addition to that, we're going to give you the Photoshop file so you can follow along. We'll give you every little layer, and I will show you step by step exactly what I'm doing and the exact techniques that I'm using so you can create the same image as you follow along. By the time you're done watching this thing, there will be no doubt that you will be able to create exactly what I do on a regular basis. I'm adding some flash via my speed light here, right to the house. Shows up on my iPhone so I can check my work. just going along, maybe 5 or 6 strobe pops light the entire front of this house. Pretty simple. Finally, I want to show you guys what it takes to shoot commercially. So for the last chapter, we're going to go to 2 amazing restaurants in Charleston. These are some of the best restaurants in the city, and we're going to show you what it takes to create beautiful commercial images. We'll also go into depth about licensing and creating residual income and making the most money you can out of these commercial architecture shoots. So just like you've seen me do a couple times, in particular at the kitchen at the architectural home, I'm going to go through and light each chair individually with a speed light, a gel, and a grid. Now, if you were here in person, you can see all the individual lights on each chair. Every table has a light coming down onto it, and all the paintings have lights on them as well. So in order to show that to the camera and make it come out in the final image, I'm gonna have to go around one by one and take care of it by myself. HDR is very popular these days with a lot of photographers, whether they're real estate, architecture, interiors. And I tried that to begin with, and I was a little bit dissatisfied with the results I was getting. I felt that if I had more control over what I was shooting and how I was shooting it, I could really take my images to the next step. In this image, I attempted to manually bring back the view in Photoshop. You can see how unrealistic this looks and how different the white balance is in the foreground compared to out the window. In this shot, I've taken multiple exposures and combined them in Photomatics to create an HDR image. It's better, but I still think it looks a little cheap. And here's a shot that I got totally in camera using 4 strobes. The image looks much more realistic and it required no post-production. Let me show you how I pulled this one off.
One of the downsides to being a professional photographer these days is that everybody wants to be a professional photographer. This field is so saturated with people that are just trying to jump in and buying DSLRs. And so if you go online right now and look for wedding photographers, I bet you'll find at least 100 wedding photographers in your city. But architecture photography is not saturated at all. If you find anybody in your area that's actually doing it, they may just be shooting for realtors, and I can guarantee you they aren't doing anything like what Mike does.
This looks pretty done to me, but I'm gonna do one more step. And like I said, it's one super easy trick that will really take your images to the next level. I'm gonna put a light outside, and what that light is gonna do is imitate the sun. So we have taken this dull time of day, I think it's like 4 p.m., it's hazy, it's kind of gross out, and what we're gonna do is create some sunlight.
At the top level of commercial photography, I'd make the argument that you're not really even producing a photograph anymore. You're producing digital art. And a lot of clients, they just don't care if you got the image in camera or if you produced it using 20 layers of Photoshop. And that's what's amazing about Mike's work is he's at that level and he's gonna teach you how to produce something that is really gonna wow the audience, and that's what it takes to get these high-end paying jobs.
So throughout this DVD, I'm gonna show you all the gear I use. I'm gonna show you the lenses, the tilt-shift lenses and how they work, how I use big lights and small lights, how I tether, all the different cameras that I use, and all the little techniques in between. You'll see all the Photoshop techniques. You'll get everything broken down into bite-sized pieces. If you don't count my fancy tripod and geared head, this is, I don't even know, it's 200, 300, 400, that's like $500 or $600 worth of gear. Any tripod will do. This is a bit of a fancy one, but like I said, well under $1,000 to get started in this.
I think what's most inspiring to me about Mike is that he doesn't really have any training in photography. He didn't go to school for this. He was actually a professional snowboarder that just fell into architectural photography. And then in just 3 years, he has now risen to the top and he's one of the top guys in his field. I don't know anybody besides maybe like Joey L, who has reached such a level of success in such a short amount of time.
So like most people who get started in this field, I got my start shooting real estate. And what happened was it just kind of snowballed. I just did one shoot after another, and the property started getting more expensive and the portfolio got bigger and better and on. And then about after a year of that, before I knew it, I had kind of reached the ceiling of how much I could realistically charge for real estate in a small community like the Lake Tahoe area. So it was at that point where I started going after work from architects and interior designers, and I decided pretty much on the spur of the moment, I just woke up one day and I said, you know what, I'm going for it. I'm gonna move to Los Angeles. I'm gonna try to make commercial interior architecture and advertising photography my full-time job.
We are really excited about this tutorial. I know there's nothing else on the market like it. And if you want more information about the full 8-hour tutorial that Mike's created, head over to fstoppers.com/store. You can read all about it, and then within a few hours, you can download all the chapters and watch his amazing technique.
When I think back to my life 7 or 8 years ago, architectural photography wasn't even on my radar. It wasn't even a thing to me. It really has afforded me so many amazing opportunities. I have traveled all over the country I've traveled to Europe. For God's sakes, I went to Iceland and spent a month shooting architecture in Iceland. It blows my mind, the things I've done, the people I've met, the places I've seen. I've shot in everything from, abandoned homes to $100 million plus houses that are just, they would blow your mind with the extravagance. And I meet some amazing people too. I have talked with CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, and we've enjoyed wine and cheese on their back balcony overlooking the Pacific Ocean. It's just wild. I would have never, ever thought this would happen to me. And like I said, it wasn't even on my radar. It just popped up and I grabbed it by the horns and I never let go. And I owe this all to architectural photography.